Record.
Actually, I think I found yours somewhere through somebody's other podcast that Dr. Peggy Malone. She does
Oh
the
yeah.
improvement.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I had her
Was
for
on.
personal coach for a while. Just kind of knew in the inside it was time to move on. Nothing wrong with it. She was fabulous. But
Yeah.
trying to,
She's a really good person. I like her. She's sharp.
yeah,
Um, yeah. In fact, I think she's going to be on my podcast sometime this year. Yeah.
yeah, she's really good and tons of energy.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Hey, thank you guys for being here. Let me let in a couple more people and then let's get this puppy rolling.
Oh, Jordana Sade, I think is her name. She's out of
Jordana Sade.
Toronto.
Okay. Got it. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
It's
Okay.
it's more the science behind it. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, that's great. That's great. I appreciate it. So for those of you who just jumped on, and for those of you who are on, but if you don't have your camera on, then you don't show up at all on the Zoom. But thank you guys for being here, everybody, and for everybody who's over in Facebook too. Thank you. I will check Facebook at the very end and see if I've got any comments or questions there. But in the meanwhile, if you're on the Zoom call with me and you have questions, comments, anything you'd like to do, throw it in the chat and I will deal with it there. So first, I just want to say thank y'all. Thank y'all for being here. Oh, Jenny's here. Hey, Jenny. Thanks for being here. So yes, so it's the new year, right? Like I told people on the call earlier. So we did this call at 3:00, and I told everybody, I said, the truth is I used to kind of, I don't know, let me just go ahead and call myself out. I would think I was a little bit better than New Year's resolutions and better than, all this fresh start at the new year thing. And I was talking to a couple of clients and we just started realizing, or they were talking to me, and what we thought about was the fact that there is energy that happens at the new year. There's a couple of things that happen. Like if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, we're basically in winter. So it's a great time to get started, right? Not because the weather's so bad, but because like we have time. We're a little bit more homebound. It tends to be this time of year after the holidays. So it's a really good time to get things happening. And if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, from what I hear from my friends down in Australia, summer hasn't started anyway. So this is a good time for everybody to get started. So thank you guys for being here. I am going to jump into a quick presentation. And while I'm doing that, let me pull that up. What I'd like to do is remember, if you've got questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to hit share and let's do this. And I'm probably not going to be on really late because I can smell my dinner cooking in the background. I normally don't eat this late, but I thought, well, I'm not eating before I do this. So yeah, you guys would the clock is clicking in the background because dinner is cooking. So fit is your superpower. And I really, truly believe this. Like I see it in myself. I see it in all my clients. I see it in the people I work with, that when you feel good, when you're fit, when you don't have to worry about some of the things that we have to worry about when we're not feeling good, like life opens up. Like it's so expansive and there's so much that we can do. And my job, well, let me just tell you who I am and what my job is. But before I do that, let me just talk about really quick what happens if you give yourself the gift of fitness, especially since it's 2024, the beginning of the year. One of the things I love talking about is a cascading effect of good. And that's what all of this is. Like the healthier we are, the happier we are. The stronger we are, the more energy we have. When we have more muscle, we have less fat. When we have better balance and flexibility, life is a whole lot simpler. When we feel good and we're healthy, we have improved moods. It's easier to lose extra weight. It just is. And we sleep better, we have improved habits, and life is more fun when you feel fit. So I want to just stop and talk about that improved habits piece, because there is something that happens. There's a touch of magic that happens, that when you start one thing, you do something good for yourself, it just automatically expands to the rest of your life. It automatically becomes like, if you start eating better, then you just automatically will start moving more. And if you start moving more, you automatically start eating better. And when you start eating better, you automatically start sleeping better. So it's just like, it's the habits become exponential as we feel better and better every single time. So if we haven't met before, I've got some new people on the call that I haven't met before. I've got some people that I see that I do know. So thank you everybody for being here. I am known as, well, my name is Kelly Howard. I'm known as the fitness consistency expert with a touch of adventure. And the reason that touch of adventure comes up is because I think adventure comes in all kinds of shapes and sizes. Like, you don't have to be climbing mountains or paddling bayous to be an adventure. Adventure is the fun that we bring to the life that we have. And for some of my clients that I work with, adventure is taking care of their kids or their grandkids and, having fun with them. For some others, it's trying new things, it's travel, it's all the things. But I think it matters. This year, I guess last year now, 2023, I had my book, Fit, Active and Ageless for Life, came out. It did really well. It hit the bestseller list in a couple of categories at Amazon, which I was pretty excited about. And then I also have a program called Fit is Freedom. And I'll tell you all about that at the end, because there are a couple of ways that you can work with me, and only a couple of ways that I work with people. But what I've done for about 25 years now, I've worked with women to help them prioritize their fitness in various ways. I used to have a company that was an outdoor adventure club, and that company was purchased by a friend of mine, and maybe 4 years ago. And then I started doing what I do now, which is a lot of one-on-one and a lot of group, helping women get active, get out there, trying new things, reaching the fitness that they want to have. And I truly believe that, well, I know I've got the best job in the world. And two, I know that when we feel good and we're fit, life is changing. Life changes automatically. So the one thing, though, I would like to talk about really quick is the lie of motivation. So people, a lot of times, when I first start working with somebody, I'll hear one of three things. There's three things I hear. One of them is, I don't have any motivation. One of them is, I don't have any time. And one of them is, I don't have a plan and I don't know what to do. So we're going to talk about motivation. I'll mention time, and then we're going to talk about plans, because these matter. So the thing about motivation is, it's really not something that you either have or you don't have. Motivation is a learned behavior, nothing more. It's when you take one step and keep on going, it becomes easier. A lot of times we think that we need to be motivated, but we really don't need to be motivated. I mean, we can be like, there are a lot of times that I'm not motivated, trust me. But I have enough, there's a word there, but I can't think of it right now, but enough pieces in place that I always have motivation, even when I don't have it. So what I mean by that is that I always do the workouts. Let me rephrase that. I don't always do the workouts that I need to do, but I do them at least 90% of the time. Occasionally 80% of the time if something crazy happens. But that's my benchmark, is always trying to hit at least 80%. So, and we'll talk about perfection and imperfection in a minute. But when you have all these different benchmarks in place that help you stay motivated, You'll have a plan that we talk about. You'll figure out where the time is. You'll have accountability. You'll have a community. When you have all those pieces in place, then motivation just becomes something that you do. So know that. And everything we do, like in life, everything we do, I mean, I'm sure there's a couple of things that I'm missing, but most things that we do, we're either moving toward what we want or away from what we don't want. So I believe that the motivation of moving toward what you want is an easier motivation to follow than the motivation of running away from what you don't want. So some of the things that like moving toward what you do want. What you do want, if any of y'all read my book, I start out talking about the North Star, right? And our North Star is the thing that drives us. It's the thing that pulls us toward what it is that we want. I mean, one of my North Stars is that I want to be healthy and capable for a very, very, very long time so that I can continue to enjoy all the things that I love to do. Like I am driven by outdoor adventures. Like that's one of my things. So I have to stay in shape to be able to go do them. So that's one of my pulls. Like that's one of my North Stars that is a pull. But then we also have things that we're moving away from, right? So moving away from would be, hang on, let me think of one in my life so I can give you all a good example. And I might have to come back to it. Oh, no, I've got a great one. Moving away. I am moving away from losing muscle. This is something that that has never been a thing in my life. Like I was that person who just like, I could go to the gym and slap on muscle in a day practically. But what I found was after I hit, for me, it was about 60. After I hit 60, that muscle became something that I had to work harder and harder and harder to have. So I am definitely moving away from muscle loss. I don't want it. So flip it over. That means I'm moving toward being strong and healthy in my mind. So like keeping that thing, like which way are we moving? And then there's another piece to all this is that, and I want to touch on it now and I'll talk about it more when we talk about creating a plan, but in life, things happen. Like we know that, right? We've had some pretty interesting things happen the last few years and they can slow us down and stop us. So people will say to me occasionally, I'll get somebody who says, you know what? I kind of got, I keep starting and starting and starting and starting, and I never seem to get traction. And I'm starting to wonder if it's time just to stop. If it's time just to throw in the towel. And we don't want to do that. I mean, when you learn how to use your motivation, you learn that you can restart as many times as you need to, and it's just okay. It's okay. It's nothing more than missing a day and then you start again. You miss a day, you start again. Versus when sometimes for people, if they miss a day of workout, or maybe they miss a week of working out, or the holidays happen and they miss a month of working out, it's like, oh my gosh, why bother? I'm always starting over. So it's a mind shift. We were talking about mindset shifts before I turned on the camera. And the thing is that it is a shift, because when you have a motivation that is pulling you toward what you want, then the truth is that you will restart again and again and again and again and again until one day you realize that you don't have to restart much at all. You just get better at it. So, and of course, we all know a body in motion stays in motion. So that's one of the tricks to motivation. Or one of the, it's a trick to motivation. So, and I talked about this already, but I just want to touch on it again. Remember, we're either moving toward what we want or moving away from what we don't want. So let me stop for just a second. And I want to do just a really quick little exercise for everybody. So the first thing is that you can write it down, you can think about it, you can do whatever you want. I'll give you we'll do a couple of minutes of this. What do you want this year when it comes to your fitness, when it comes to your health? What do you want? Like, what's that heart, what's that driver that you have this year? Is it to get healthier? Is it to, I know on our last call, someone said one of her drivers was she wanted to lose some weight. Everybody's, the other people on the last call, so one of the things they want to do was they were focusing on muscle. Like, what are those things that you're really thinking about this year? And if you would like to, toss them in the chat, or we'll come back to that. Don't even do that right now. Just do it for yourself. What do you want this year? Like, if you were to look back on 2024 into December this year, and you had accomplished something, what would make you feel like a rock star? And then the next piece of that is, how will that make you feel? How would achieving that make you feel? Like, and feelings are like a lot of different things, right? You could be feeling like great, healthy, energetic, or you could be feeling like, wow, I really did that. Like, blissful because you hit it. Like, how would it make you feel? What's that thing you want? How does it make you feel? Sometimes, one thing about fitness that's funny is that when you get more and more fit, you actually get the feeling of security, because you know that you can depend on your body, you can depend on yourself, you feel comfortable in it. It's a different kind of feeling. You're not worried. You don't have that gnawing wonder. So how does it make you feel? And then the last question is, what's holding you back? And once again, what's holding you back? It could be mental, it could be emotional, it could be physical. Like, maybe you have some injuries, maybe it's been a hard holiday and you just it's been hard to get restarted. So those are three questions that I would much rather see somebody ask and answer than, like, what are your goals for this year? Because when we do like goals for this year, this is why I kind of poo-pah resolutions. When we do goals for this year, a lot of times it's like, oh yeah, same old, and you're just like, oh my gosh, it's the same old again. But when you really like dive in and go, how do I want to feel? Like, what do I really want? And what's holding me back? Those are things that we can change, and we don't have to worry about it. So just remember, you want to, while we're talking, I mean, these are all, like we just mentioned, they're either moving toward or moving away, right? So next thing. So one thing is, and this is something that is in motivation, when I said that I have a lot of different, tools is what I call them. Actually, I've got a whole toolbox of motivations, whole toolbox of them. The first one that I think works the best, if we're just flat out talking about getting in shape and feeling good, is that we need a plan. We do. I mean, I know so many women, when I first start talking to them, the way they have their fitness set up is, it's like, well, I'll be like, what's your fitness plan for the week? Well, I think I'm gonna go, I think I'm gonna do a couple of walks this week. And then I don't know, I've been thinking about doing this one video. And I get it, right? Because a lot of times we don't think of our fitness as something that, you know, we treat like work or a to-do list or whatever else, but it really helps. So when, and we'll dive into making a fitness plan, but when you have a plan and then you schedule it, and scheduling it, like for me, the way I do scheduling is that Sunday night, I have this, I'm not going to show you my wall, but if you could see my wall, I have this small whiteboard that I have had, and I've had that whiteboard for probably 20 years. And I just drag it around with me everywhere. But it's just like Monday through, it's the week of this week, and it's Monday through Sunday. And on that whiteboard on Sunday, I will sit down and I will figure out what my workout's going to be this week. Now, I do it in dry erase because things happen, right? Like, you know, maybe Tuesday, something happens and I don't get to do my workout. So I have to switch it around for the one I was going to do on Wednesday. But I have a plan that I'm pushing for 80% of that plan. Okay. So, and my plan, and I'll just tell you what my plan is this week. So this week it was like Monday, I had kind of weights, mobility, walking. Tuesday, weights, mobility, walking, kind of boring. Today, it was nothing but mobility because I knew I was going to be busy. Tomorrow is it's a very boring plan I've got this week. Tomorrow is weights, mobility, walking. And the same thing Friday. But Saturday, I'm going to go for a hike. So, you know, I mean, and I just put it up on the wall. So it gives me something. And my plan is not always that boring. Like I do mix and match, but it just so happens that this week I'm doing a lot of work. So I had to keep it pretty solid. But having a plan and then scheduling it will make a difference for you. Okay. And the reason that a fitness plan takes away the never for motivation, that would be the need for motivation, is simply because if you are at all driven by a to-do list, if you're like me, or, you know, if you finish something that wasn't on your to-do list, you put it on your to-do list and then check it off. If you at all have that piece in your brain, then once you make a plan, and I guess I should say this, like with my plan, I have one color ink for, you know, what my workouts are, and a second color ink for the check. And I always check it off. And if I don't do it, then I have to cross through it. So, and that's with the red marker. So you just, like, if you think about it, that's the kind of thing, those things like that just constantly keep you on the straight and narrow. Okay. Any questions from anybody? I'm just going to check Facebook comments really quick and see if anybody has questions there. And then if anybody has any questions in the comments on Zoom, let me know. And let me pull those comments up so that I'm paying attention. Okay. So to create a hassle-free fitness plan, you need to tailor it to a couple of things. One of them is you need to know what realistic time is for you. Okay. I mean, we can want to do a lot of things, but if we don't have a realistic plan and the time and we know how much time we've got, a 10-minute workout that you've got time for beats the heck out of an hour workout that you don't do. So know what your time is. You need the right activity. And we'll come back to this, but the right activities really matter, because you don't just, like, something that people will say to me a lot is, I don't want to go to the gym 5 days a week. That's not my thing. I'm like, that's fine. We don't have to go to the gym 5 days a week. There's lots of other things that we can do. Your lifestyle. You need to know your lifestyle. Like really get it. Not what you want it to be, because that's different than what it is. So if your lifestyle is, like one of my clients, she has 5 grandchildren. And as much as she doesn't want to be the grandmother who does all the babysitting, she is. Like, she just is. End of story. So we have to create a plan that works around that for every time, and then works with it in the summer. Like in the summer, she takes them and does things with them. But in the winter, it's, less inclined. And then you've got to remember that these are long-term goals, y'all. This is, when it like short-term goals, you can have some short-term goals with fitness, but the truth is this is a long game. And then what we're doing is we're going to find the activities that you want. We're going to schedule them. We're going to put out the outcome you want, and then we come up with some short-term goals. And like this is probably one of my the things that gets me the most. Cookie cutter programs, like there's a lot of them out there. There's a million of them out there actually, where they say, do this, 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 and this. That's all you got to do. It doesn't work for us at a certain point in life. You can get away with it when you're like 20, 30. But our bodies have had lots of time to grow up. They've had, we've had injuries. We've had, a lot of life on our bodies. We've done a lot of things. We've just, our bodies change. And you have to have a program that works with your body. Like you can't just go out and grab, I said this earlier. I don't know, but when I was in my 20s, if I wanted to lose weight, I'd say, oh my gosh, I've got to lose weight. My jeans are tight. I would go out and I'd run. I'd run for a month. At the end of the month, I would have lost weight. My jeans weren't tight anymore. That was fine. That was a 20-year-old, 30-year-old body. It doesn't work like that now. Like if I was to go out, well, hey, I can't run. If I was to go out and run for a month, I would be crippled, quite frankly. But let's say I was going to go out and cycle hard every day for a month. All I would be doing is losing muscle. That's all I'd be doing. So we can't do what we used to do. So keep that in mind and know that there's a program that, or there's, I don't even like using the word program. There's a schedule, there's a workout that works for all of us. What you do need to do, there are a few shoulds. One of them is you need to bring in all the fitness pillars. So that's movement, which we'll talk about actually using today or creating today. Nourishment. So nourishment to me is not a diet. It's food as fuel. It's food as medicine. It's healthy food that keeps us healthy versus taking, it's instead of taking food away, it's adding in food that works, really, if you think about that. So, and then the next pillar is your motivation and your accountability. So motivation, we talked about that. Accountability, I can touch on it really quick. I think accountability comes in a lot of different forms. In my world, in my business, we use accountability a lot. We use accountability groups through text. We use them through making plans for trips, and then making sure that everybody's on track for exercising what they need to do to get to that point where they can do the trip. We use Facebook groups. We use it a lot of different ways. One-on-one calls with me. I think accountability has a good place in life. Where it doesn't work is when we use like our best friend, because her job is not to tell us to get to exercise. Her job is to make us feel good. So if we've had a bad day and we know we need to go do exercise, and we call her or we text her and we're like, oh, I don't really want to do my exercise. Well, her job is not to say, get your butt out there and exercise. Her job is to be like, are you okay? Do you want to go get a glass of wine? Do you need to do something with me? That's okay. That's her job. So our besties are not our best accountability people. The other people who are not our best accountability people either are partners in life, because usually, not always, but usually, they don't want to be drug along on this fitness thing. And so their job is to try, in their world, is to try and figure out how to get us to like not go do the stuff. Like let's get pizza and sit on the couch and watch Netflix. So they're not going to be your best ones either. The third one is a lot of times people use apps, like phone apps, tracking apps, whatever. I use a ring, a tracking ring. It's not my accountability buddy. It is nothing more than a tracker. Because if you're using one of the apps that you think is going to keep you accountable, when you don't feel like it, you just turn the thing off, right? Like it has zero value. So, and then we have like the other fitness pillars, and this is an interesting crew that we have tonight on Zoom, because we don't usually have people who talk immediately about mindset, but we did. Like before we went live, we were talking about the mindset of fitness. It's a huge piece. Like really, if you think about it, I would say in fitness, 80% is mindset, 20% is doing the stuff. So motivation, in a way, what I said about motivation, it's a mindset shift, right? And then habit shifts. We do have to change habits. Because if we didn't have to change habits, we wouldn't be sitting here, right? We do have to change habits to be able to get into the fitness place that we want to be. So knowing what those habits are and tackling them in small increments. And by that, what I mean is that's another thing that happens at the first of the year, is that people will be like, oh, I'm going to change all these habits. I'm going to, I'm going to work out every day. I'm going to quit eating carbs. I'm going to stop eating sugar. I'm going to, I don't know, whatever else all the other things are. When we throw that many habits at ourselves, we can't change. Our brain's just like, stop. My job is to keep you safe. My job is to keep you happy. And you're not going to be safe or happy if you stop all that stuff. So when you tackle one thing at a time, one big habit at a time, and then you support it with smaller habit changes, smaller habit shifts, it makes it easier. Like next month, you'll hear about sugar freedom. We do that every year in my group. So sugar freedom is where we stop sugar for 30 days. It's sugar, processed carbs, alcohol, all the things. And it's not because I believe that if we stop it for 30 days, we're going to never do it again. That's not realistic. The reason we stop for 30 days is we give ourselves 30 days to see what's different. And I'll tell you, like some people are, my sister did this with me and with us a couple of years ago. And she said, I never stopped putting sugar in my coffee. She's like, I don't drink coffee without sugar. I was like, fine. It doesn't matter. Like, it's not that you have to be, a monk. It's that you give yourself a chance to try something different. And then when you come back to maintenance, is what I like to call it, you don't ever slide back to where you were before. You shift. So that's what habit shifting is. All right. So real quick, let's just talk about the movement piece of this. I don't say you should, you have to, you've got to, very much in my life. Like I like to have a lot of latitude. And I will say that when it comes to your fitness, your movement portion, you have to have these three. Okay. Mobility is nothing more than warming up your joints. Okay. So when I say mobility, years ago, I don't know if y'all ever followed this, but years ago, there used to be this like thing where it'd be like, do you stretch before you exercise or after you exercise? Right. It was always this debate. And so I never really knew when to stretch. And so a lot of times I would do a couple of bounces and then that would be it. But it's very, very clear now with all the science behind it that if you warm up your joints before you do your exercises, whatever those exercises are, you're going to have fluid in your joints that you want. You're going to have the ability to have less injuries. and you're going to have the ability to do more. So I will give you an example. This is an example of one, which of course we all know is not a perfect example, but I will tell you this, and I've seen it work for other people. I like to use myself as a guinea pig. So I did this particular experiment for several times. So I go out. There's a hike that I particularly like. Go out on this hike. The hike usually takes me about an hour and a half, something like that. So what I did was I would go out, get out of my car, go do the hike, be done. No mobility, no warming up, no nada, right? And then I would gauge how I felt afterwards. It's okay. I know the hike. It wasn't killing me. But yeah, there'd be like little twitchies, things here and there that didn't feel good. Maybe my ankle was bothering me, maybe my hip was bothering me, or whatever. Just didn't feel great. Same hike. I would go out, but when I got to the hike, I would get out of my car, I would do the mobility. For me, mobility is never more than 8 minutes. It's usually somewhere between 3 and 5. But if I just did the smallest amount of mobility, let's call it 5 minutes to 8 minutes. When I went out on that hike, I would be faster. I would feel better. I would finish with zero aches and pains. And it was the thing that got me to actually become very cognizant of the fact that we really need this. Since then, I've done a lot of studying, a lot of reading, and I find it more and more to be one of the things that we just have to do. Like our bodies, when you have joint pain and things like that, a lot of times, okay, let me just stop for a second. When I talk about mobility, this is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about nothing more than ankle rolls, knee rolls, maybe hip rolls like you're doing a hula hoop, rolling your shoulders, doing, I can't I can't do it because I've got a jacket on right now, but doing like arm rolls and neck, moving your neck. This is simple stuff. It's nothing big, but when you loosen up your body, you make it work well. It just works well. So, okay, I'll stop on the mobility, but I'm just going to say big thing. Then cardio. So for those of you who are on camera, show of hands, who loves to do cardio? Anybody? Like nobody? Cool. Okay. Which is okay. This is good. This is good because a lot of times it seems like I kind of attract the cardio addicts. I am. I love cardio. I do. I love cardio. Given my druthers, I would do nothing but go out and hike for hours or paddle for hours or whatever. The problem is that when we, hang on. So our bodies go through changes. At about 30, we start going into a stage where we don't have, our muscles start fading if we're not building them. Okay. So we start losing muscle in the 30s roughly. But it's not that bad. It's just kind of doing its thing, maybe a little less. But then when we go through menopause or we get to, around 50, it becomes a bigger deal. We lose muscle easier. It takes more effort because of hormones, basically, to bring muscle back on. So with cardio, when we do cardio long, and when I say long, usually after longer than an hour, we actually start burning muscle instead of building muscle. So knowing that is great for everybody who's not a cardio, head. You don't have to do that much cardio. You can do walks. You can do a couple of high intensity trainings a week. If you want to lose weight, then do 3 high intensity trainings. High intensity trainings don't have to be that big a deal. Okay. And we'll talk about like different kinds of things you can do. But like, for instance, super easy high intensity training, it's finding a small hill. Doesn't have to be big. I live in Houston, Texas, which is just like, you know, flat as a board. So there's a small hill that goes down to the bayou behind me. I saunter down that hill. Takes me about a minute. I turn around and I power walk up that hill. Takes me 30 seconds. Saunter down the hill, power walk back up. And you do that for 10, 15 minutes, warm up on one end, cool down on the other end, and you've got a nice high intensity training that's great for fat burning. So it doesn't have to be that hard. In fact, on the call earlier today, I have a quote on my wall from one of my clients, and she happened to be on that call. But the quote is simply, she says, and she told me one day, she said, "Oh my God, you don't have to kill yourself to do this." And it's true. You just don't. I mean, it's not that hard. So then strength and resistance. I always joke that there's resistance to resistance. We need it. I'll just say that we need it. We need the strength training. It can be body weight. It can be resistance bands. It can be dumbbells. It can be machines at the gym. It can be, there's some things that are kind of mixovers or crossovers, like yoga. Yoga can be strength and it can be flexibility at the same time. Pilates, another crossover. So, you know, there's some different crossovers, but you need to work on some strength. We just have to have it. I mean, it builds, not only does it build muscle, it allows us to maintain balance, and it also helps with our bones, keeps us from falling, you know, all the things. And I never really want to talk about like the bad stuff that can happen, but in the end, the strength is one of the things that makes a difference for everybody. So who does strength training on the call right now? Anybody? Got one? Kind of? Yeah. There's so many different things you can do. Like, it doesn't have to be a big deal. And there's ways of putting things together. If you're like, oh my gosh, I just don't want to do this. A simple one, like, so my next door neighbor, I work with her sometimes, and she saunters. She's more of a saunterer when she walks, and she doesn't do weights. So what we finally came up with was, I got her some hand weights, small ones, and sent her out on her walk, and she had to do like these, you know, curls, kickbacks, presses, just like a little thing. But the fun thing is that once she started doing it and feeling better, like she was feeling better pretty quick, because she just hadn't really done anything. So muscle comes back pretty quick if you hadn't done anything. She was rocking and rolling. Like, I'd see her at the park. She'd go out for 45 minutes doing this, and it really made a difference. So it's like, it's worth doing. Okay. I will quit harping on the resistance, but gotta do it. So a couple of things to take into consideration. One of them, if you've got injuries or if you have pain points, okay? I am not a doctor, a nurse, a physical therapist. I am really good with injuries. I've had a couple in my life. So I can tell you this, like, we can heal. It's the first thing that that's just the first thing that I always want people to know. We can heal, and we heal well. We really do. Maybe there are things that we have to do that we didn't used to. That could be, it could be supplements. It could be eating differently. It could be going to the physical therapist, like all of the things. But a lot of times, I mean, a lot more than you would believe, actually. People will come to me and they'll say something like I have one client, she came to me and she said, well, you know, I want to do all this stuff, but I just have to tell you, I'm going to have shoulder surgery, and it's just going to happen. I know it's just going to happen. I'm like, okay, well, that's fine. Let's do what you can do. And then do your shoulder surgery and blah, blah, blah. Well, time goes by, and I asked her one day, she'd been working with me for about 6 months. And I said, so what about the shoulder surgery? She's like, oh, crazy thing. I don't hurt anymore. Like, and it's true. I see it happening all the time. The more movement, the less pain. It's not always there. Doesn't always work, but a lot of times. So that's a consideration. Your injuries, your pain points, what's holding you back. And I guess one more thing I'd like to say about pain. If you're in pain, like let's say, I don't know, let me think of something real quick. You have a shoulder that bothers you. Do everything you can. And I, like I said, I don't give medical advice, but do everything you can to make sure that you get that shoulder doing what it should do. Because once we start compensating, right? Once we start compensating, and I can't do all my moves with a jacket on. So let me compensate. So if my shoulder's bothering me and I'm not doing what I need to be doing, then eventually what happens is that shoulder starts riding up because I'm not using it properly. And then we're throwing everything else off. So I'm just going to say that, you really have to take care of whatever's bothering you. And done. Food. So food is one of those things that if we can think of food as medicine instead of comfort, it's a game changer. Because a lot of times we use food to, when we get triggered, whatever's going on, food is a good substitute. But if we start using food as medicine, then, our bodies respond really well. And so do our brains. Okay. Like the brain loves carbohydrates and loves sugar, but only for a brief second. Like it's this millisecond that the brain gets happy when we eat it, and then it doesn't work. So, and then, food is medicine. And then also, like, where in your world, where in your life are the sticky points? And by that, I mean, do you travel a lot? And does that hold you back from your workouts? Is it caring for somebody else that holds you back? Like, where does your life get in your way of what you need to be doing for yourself? And how can you move around that? I don't think we can get rid of everything in our life that isn't working. When I started doing this kind of work, it was a number of years ago. And at the time, I was caring for my mother. I was, being the general contractor on our new house. I was starting another business. All the things. And so life was super busy. And my workout schedule didn't look like it does today because I didn't have the time. And so, you have to kind of play with your life a little bit to see, but still make sure that you can do the things that you need to do. All right, making this last. So let's say that you do create a plan that you like. To make it last, there's a couple of things. One of them is you have to have things that you love to do, right? In here, if I say that, you know what, you need to lift weights. That's what you need to do. You need to lift weights. And you're like, I hate lifting weights. Like, I hate lifting weights. I'm not going to do it. Well, then we're at an impasse, right? So what would be the thing, like, what could you do that would be fun, that you would enjoy, that gives you that weightlifting? It's like my neighbor, right? She did not ever, she was never going to go to the gym. But when she got basically her dance down, that's what it was. It was a dance. She'd have 45 minutes of walking that was a dance. And it involved, this and kicks and all kinds of stuff. She had a blast. Like, she had a blast. Made a big difference for her. So, that may be for one person. I mean, for myself, like, I have all the resistance bands in the world that you could possibly have in my workout room. I don't like resistance bands. I don't like them. In fact, the other day I was using one because I had to, because of, my schedule called for it, and I broke it. And I was like, wow, you're so strong. And I'm like, no, really, the truth is that band is so old that it just snapped because I never use them. So, like find the things that you like doing. And for a while, I was doing like a body weight workout because if it was different and I was enjoying something different. But you got to have something that you enjoy. Same thing with the cardio. Like earlier, I was talking about pickleball. Where I live, pickleball has been has become a big thing, and I think it's a big thing in a lot of places. But people love it, so they're having fun. It's a great cardio, right? It's a workout. So it's finding those things that you enjoy doing, and just using those, finding those things, and then using the power of imperfection. And what I mean by this is that if we have to have, like I told you, my workout plan is on a dry erase board. It's on a dry erase board because I know that life changes, like things happen. I have to move stuff around. If I didn't, then I would never really be able to knock out a week, right? So instead of going, oh gosh, if I don't get this done today, this is, it was on my schedule, I've got to get it done. Forget that. Like move things around. We're not always perfect. If you're hitting your plan 80% of the time, then you're probably doing just fine. And that includes food too. In fact, oh yeah, she's not on right now. We were talking earlier. Monica Reinagal, who's a friend of mine, has this app, and there's very few apps that I really like, but I happen to really like this app, and I will endorse it all day long. It's called Nutrition GPA, and I'm going to even type it into the chat here. So Nutrition GPA, the reason it's so brilliant is it's so simple. At the end of the day, you answer 10 questions. That's it. You get a score. And that score could be, anywhere from, I don't know, fail to A. But it's not that you want to get the great score. It's that you understand, and it tells you like why you're getting a score. Like if you eat fermented foods, then it increases your score. So it just allows you to start thinking differently so that you choose food wisely. Okay. So it doesn't have to be perfect. You just, make better choices. You want an MDM. So what an MDM is a minimum daily movement. Okay. Minimum daily movement's different for everybody. Okay. It's completely different. Like there used to be this thing where so many people are trying to get in a certain number of steps. I think the value of trying to get in that number of steps is the fact that it was an MDM. Really kept people moving. That's what it does. My ring, it tracks calories is what it tracks, like units of energy from working out. So I have I don't know what I don't know. Actually, I think it's, hang on, I'm losing my voice. I think on mine, I've got it set at like 450. So in a general day, I need to do 450 calories worth of exercise. And that's pretty normal for me. You want that MDM for you. For a lot of people that I work with, we come up with like, maybe it's just walking for 30 minutes or whatever it is. Maybe it's doing something we call nitros, and nitros are a very quick workout that just hits all the muscles, takes 3 minutes, and you try and do it 3 times a day. So it's just having something so that you're not like, you may miss a day, but you don't want to miss a week. So if you're really, really busy, then that week is just an MDM every day. Okay. And then wildcards. And I'll talk about wildcards. So wildcards, these are my faves. So what I call a wild card is having something in your plan that it may not be, you may not have it set in stone, but it's something that you love to do. Okay. Like for me, a typical week, that during the week, it looks pretty much like I said earlier, kind of like same old, a lot of times. But on the weekends, I'll have, and it's weather depending, I might have, a hike on there. I might have a paddle on there. I might have I don't know, get together with girlfriends and go do something outdoors, whatever it is. Like I put those on there and then it gives me something like a little extra. There's a word in Louisiana, it's lagniappe, like it's just that icing on the cake, right? Something a little bit more fun. So having something that's just fun to do, something that just, gets you excited. I like keeping a bliss list. And a bliss list is, it's a couple of things. One of them is it's the things that get you dialed up, right? It's the things that you really enjoy doing. Some of those things are not going to be exercise. And you know what? That's just fine. Because if they're not exercise, but you're having fun and you're doing them, then it's keeping us engaged. So like some of the things I like to do that are not exercise, I like to listen to music, live music. That's one of my things. There's just different things I do that are on my list, and my list is not in front of me, so I'm not going to try and read it out to you. But, it could be all kinds of things, but have something that just throws some fun in the mix. And then there's another piece to it, which are the big wild cards. Oh gosh, guys, I'm talking, I must be talking slow. I didn't realize it was almost 8. So let me talk fast. So big wild cards. These are the things that are going to help you stay accountable. So they're the trips. They're like in my company, we do adventure retreats. So when somebody signs up for an adventure retreat, and it's levels, right? Like we're not going to go kill ourselves on an adventure, but we do train for it, right? Because you train for the level you want to be to, so that you could train for some travel, you could train for some adventure, you could have planned activities like races and walks. You have events that out there that you just, it's something to look forward to. That's what it is, just something to look forward to. We need those things on our schedule. Okay, so just a real quick recap. So I do believe that we need to make our healthy, fit, healthy body a number one priority. I know we have people that we have to take care of. I know we have people that depend on us. I know that a lot of times we say our priority is for the people in our lives, which it should be, right? And if we're not taking care of ourselves, then we're not going to be there for them. So we just have to do it. And I love to tell people, like, a healthy woman has 1,000 dreams. An unhealthy woman has 1. So really quick, we talked about this, but motivation's a learned behavior. Get moving, you'll stay moving. When you create a fitness plan, you need all 3 pieces: the mobility, the cardio, the resistance. As Patty said, you don't have to kill yourself to do this. Make a plan, schedule it. Be aware of food. Like I don't believe in diets. Diets are depriving ourselves. But when we get really aware of the food we're eating, and we start taking in the food that makes us feel good, it's a big difference. Have an MDN, have some wild cards. So these are all just like a really good start. Okay. So I want to stop really quick. Does anybody have any questions they'd like to put in the chat? And I'm going to just check Facebook and see if anyone has any questions, because I can talk pretty darn quick. So, okay, let me just, okay. Over in Facebook, we've got Jenny is doing her mobility while I'm chatting. That's smart. Maureen is waiting for the gym to quiet down before she heads back in February. I totally understand. And Maureen also loves cardio drumming, which, Maureen, you're going to have to tell me what that is, because I don't know what that is. So Yeah, I'm going to come back to that one. All right. So finishing this one up, what I do when I work with people, I actually help them create a very specific fitness plan tailored to where you are in life. We use accountability, we use community, we use the toolbox that I talked about earlier, because you need all the tools to keep moving. Okay. And people I work with, they come from different directions and different places. I mean, I'm sorry, they come from different places, but we all end up heading in the same direction, because I'm really, really big on this. We need to have fun. We need to have fitness. We need to have freedom, and we need to feel amazing. So I will just tell you all really quick that I have seen that when the women who succeed are the ones that recognize this as a long game. The quick fixes that we used to use just don't work like they used to. We've got so much to enjoy. Like, there's just so much to do. And a lot of times the piece that's missing is having the right plan, having the accountability, having the community, having the people in your world that can help. And then I will tell you the one last thing. Oh, so this, okay, I've got to tell you all this. This is funny. This is an accountability story. So Pam is the one, she was supposed to be going to the gym one day. She's in one of our accountability groups. She's sitting in front of the gym, sitting there playing on her phone because she doesn't want to go into gym. And she just told me later, she was like, well, so I just said, oh, I'm just going to randomly text everybody and say, I'm not going to do this today. I'll get it tomorrow. Just so happened that I was on line 2, and we're all like, get your butt in the gym. What are you doing? Get there. And it changed everything for her. Like, it was one of those moments in life when everything changed, because all of a sudden she's like, wait a second. Like, all these people are not only have my back, but they're right. I mean, this is what I said I was going to do, and I did it. And she's still just like spot on to this day. And so it's a shift that we need. And then Jenny's on, she's over on the Facebook group right now, but Jenny said this, she was like, for me, community matters. And knowing that, you've got friends that have your back, it's a big deal. And so, yeah, I would like everybody to make those 3 things that we talked about at the very beginning: how you want to feel, what you want, and what's holding you back. Those are big pieces. And the last thing I will say, and then I'm going to jump off and get back on camera real quick, is that there are 2 ways I work with people. And one of them is through the group program. And one of them is through the group program plus an accelerator program. And the accelerator program is when I'm working with you one-on-one very closely. And the group is, we work in a group, but I'm in there a lot. So you can't get rid of me, quite frankly. Yeah, I have to be an acquired taste. So let me stop the share, and I will just say that I'll send out an email tomorrow with the information on the programs, and there's actually a little gift in there, a decent gift in there that will save you some money on the program if you'd like. In the meanwhile, if you have any questions, drop them in the Facebook, or drop them in the chat or the Facebook. And for everybody on Zoom, give me 1 second. I'm just going to check Facebook and see if anybody's got a question. Nope. Okay. All right. So before we go, if anyone is willing to do it, actually, hang on. Everybody who's on camera, hold for 1 second. Everybody, thank you so much for being here with us tonight. I really appreciate it. And I will see you very, very soon.